Hi, my name's Mike, and this is about my new Oticon Intent hearing aid. Just bought 2 of them. My hearing loss first presented itself 40 years ago with ringing in the ears, tinnitus, and I was also having a little trouble understanding what some of the young women in my office with soft voices were saying. Little problem with word recognition. Went to a couple of doctors here in DC who said I'd been listening to too much rock music and I'd have to live with tinnitus, with the ringing in my ears. But my career was in broadcast journalism, and the spoken word was how I made my living. So I needed more than that. Fortunately, at that time, some folks at the White House told me that the president at that time, Ronald Reagan, also had tinnitus and went to a place in Los Angeles where they did some good work. So I contacted them, flew out there, met with the doctor, had a half a dozen tests. They went through my genetic history, my family history, and congratulations, I have cochlear otosclerosis. My grandmother was deaf at the age of 70. My mother was deaf at the age of 75. And what it is, the cochlea is the little snail-like part of your inner ear that has little microscopic hairs in it, and they're the noise receptors. They're called cilia. And as you get older, like the rest of your body, they deteriorate. And this happens with everybody. That's why 80-year-old people don't hear as well as 20-year-old people. But if you have cochlear otosclerosis, you're on the fast track. Your hearing deteriorates much more quickly, and you're ending up possibly on the path to deafness. So they gave me some dietary supplements to help slow the deterioration, to make sure I had enough calcium in my diet, things like that. They helped me clear up some sinus problems that had made things worse, and they got me a white noise machine that helped me at night so that I was able to sleep better. And when the time came, it was time for hearing aids. I got one, it was fine, it wore out. I got a second one. It was fine, but after 10 years, it wore out. Now it's time for the third one. So when the most recent set wore out, my doctor, who is well in his 80s, and his top audiologist told me about the Oticon Intent, which had hit the market all of 4 weeks earlier. My doctor's top hearing aid specialist said it has to be, quote, the smartest hearing aid in the market right now. But he added that the tricky part of all this is my hearing loss is such that it has to be turned up high. And for it to be turned up high, there's an issue with feedback. So I needed an ear mold, a custom ear mold that would allow it to be turned up high without having that screech when you put your hand next to the ear. I got a good fit, it worked, and the improvement is very, very real. The first time I put these things on, I walked outside, and for the first time in I don't know how long, I could hear the birds in the high bushes above the apartment. That thanks to the 4D technology, I could tell where the sound was coming from. You can't always do that with a hearing aid. There were mechanical sounds that I hadn't been able to hear that I can hear now. The little beep when you lock your car with the key fob, I can hear that. Probably the best one of all is when I leave the water running, I can hear the water running and don't walk out and have someone yelling at me, hey, you're gonna cause a flood in the house. Now, the sounds that I could hear sometimes can be a bit jarring because they're boosting everything. So when I walk outside, I will turn this one with one tip down a level. And then once I get used to it, this one turns it up a level, and I'm fine. The biggest change with these things is exactly what the audiologist said. It is the smartest hearing aid on the market. Speech recognition, hearing exactly what the words are, the consonants at the front, the consonants at the end of a word, not just the vowel sound in the middle. I can better understand what people are saying, especially soft voices, and also I am so much better off in crowd type situations. Oticon Intent uses artificial intelligence and something called deep neural networks and 4D technology. I can't explain how these things work, but all I know is that I go into a restaurant and this knows that it should turn down the ambient noises around me and allow me to focus on who's talking to me here. And if someone's talking to me over here and I turn my head, it knows that I've turned my head and it will focus on that. And then someone else turns and I can focus on that. Not only does AI turn down the ambient noise in restaurants, but it also turns down the ambient wind noise outside. It is absolutely a game changer. Now, what is it about it that I don't like? Is there anything I don't like? Yeah. It doesn't have batteries. So what that means is it needs recharging every night. I need to use this little puppy and put these in there every night. And if that's fine at home, but if I'm on the road, I have to take this recharger with me. And if I lose it, that's a mess. It was a lot easier if I had batteries and I just take some batteries and take them along with me in my DOP kit and put them in once a week. Now with this thing, but the one good thing about this, the best thing about it, is that the cord comes off. So if there's any damage, I simply have to replace the cord and not a couple $100 for the whole thing. That's one part of it. The other part of it is a little more complicated, and that has to do with the shape of this thing. It is smaller in length than most hearing aids, which is great. But because it doesn't have a battery, it's fatter. And it also sits at the top of my ear. So if I'm wearing glasses and I put the glasses on, you've got the glasses, you've got the microphone, and you've got the battery up here, up all between my head and my ear. There's a lot going on there. It is not horrible, but you have to get used to it. And one thing you might want to do is, if you're wearing glasses, you don't want to get glasses with a real thick frame, because that's just going to create more of a problem up there. Get something maybe with wires. Now, let's talk money. Oticon is not cheap, but I saved $2,600 by going through a third-party provider, Zip Hearing, rather than going through my local audiologist. My doctor in LA gave me this advice, though, about going through a third-party provider. The third-party provider goes through local audiologists who do the fitting, who do the adjusting, who do the maintenance on it. And if you're going to go through a third-party provider, make sure that they have a good audiologist that they're working with in your area. You don't want to be buying this and then end up having no one or someone who's not great. Now, in my case, I found someone who's literally 4 minutes from where I live, 2 blocks away, who is excellent. So that's just the advice, but it's the caveat. And so let's sum this up. First, the downsides. Oticon Intent is expensive. You got to recharge it every night, and it needs battery, and it's a lot bulkier than what I used to have. That is small potatoes compared to the upsides. I can hear so much better with them, and speech comprehension is absolutely remarkably better. I'm not opting out of conversations. I'm not ashamed of saying, will you say that again? Will you repeat what you said? I'm not backing out of those things because I was embarrassed. I'm back among the living. And it's so much better in restaurants and other noisy environments because of the AI, the 4D technology, and the deep neural networks and all of that stuff. You know, some people say that AI is taking the world to hell in a handbasket. Well, if it is, thanks to these hearing aids, at least I will be able to hear it happen. And if you're trying to decide what hearing aid is best for you, I hope that my sharing my personal experience with you is helpful. All I can say is it's a good time, if there is such a thing, to have a hearing loss, because the advances that have happened in the past couple of years are amazing, real, and exciting. And I want to wish you the best of luck in your search, and I want to thank you for listening.